Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so very much for coming this evening. Primarily, I would like to thank Cheryl Strayed and Brian Lindstrom for coming all this way out. I would like to thank Tim Williams for helping to facilitate this when I ran across him at a Travel Southern Oregon Marketing Symposium conference, and he talked about the fact that she had written the book here. I'd like to thank Travel Oregon for their part in this, for the Southern Oregon Winery Association for donating wine, Lakeview Distributing for donating soda pop, for the Desert Arts Theater, the Friends of the Library, the staff of the library, and so many people, my staff at the Chamber, the Welcome Center. We have an amazing collection of people that made this happen.
So we've been talking about this event for 6 months now, and I'm really very pleased that we're able to pull it off here in this space, with this movie, all of you here. It means a lot to us and to our partners in doing this, Travel Oregon. Many of whom are here tonight, so I'd like to thank them very much. I'd especially like to thank Susan Samples and the Alger Theater. If nothing more, the conversation about this theater and how this theater means something to this community, and if we can have that conversation in many other parts of this state, there are many theaters like this in this state that we would love to have open for these kind of events. So this is something for us that's just the beginning of the conversation about these theaters and what they mean to these communities, and what they mean to both live art theaters. I know Desert Arts is here, and they're going to want to do some work, and also for the film and video side of it. I think these things are community centers waiting to happen, and I really, really hope that we can continue that effort on all fronts. And there are many people tonight from the state that came down that want to continue that conversation. So I'm really happy that we're here, and I'm really happy that that conversation will move forward. But all of this would not be possible, nor would it be what we were doing if it wasn't for the book. And we were showing the film in Ashland in December as part of our overall, hey, let's take this movie out to places where it's shot. And to that end, we went to Bend, we went to Ashland, and we went to Portland, and we were in Salem. We were sitting at dinner in Ashland, and Cheryl sort of said to myself and Linnea from Travel Oregon, she said, you know what I'd really like to do? I'd like to show this movie in Lakeview. And we were like, okay, let's do that. Not knowing that, the closest working theater was over in Clement Falls. We can't do that. So, we really, really tried to figure it out. We got to my chance meeting with Julie, who was like, we need to talk to Susan, and we need to get this place up and running. And, we found the date, and we set the date, and everything got into a rhythm, and thankfully we're here.
It's an honor for me to stand here before you and really thank some Lake County in general, but some particular people who brought me here. Most of you probably know I actually finished writing Wild in Lake County, and how that came to pass is that I met Jane O'Keefe. She lives in now. We met in Los Angeles, where I was teaching in a writing program where Jane was a student. And she wasn't my student, but I kept hearing the whole time, like, there's somebody else from Oregon here. So we sought each other out. And she said to me, in passing, if you ever need a place to get away and write, it's very quiet. I have a place for you. And I just sort of put that in my the sort of library of the mind. And months passed, and I was just beginning to write this book about this hike I had taken on the Pacific Crest Trail in the summer of 1995. And I had two little kids. My kids are now 9 and 11, but this was like 2008 or 9 when I was first writing this book. And they were little, and I was trying to write and mother and make a living and do all the things life demands. And I was near the end of the book, and I found that I just couldn't concentrate. Have any of you ever had a couple of kids in the house? So I called Jane, and I emailed Jane, and I said, does that offer still stand? I need to get away for a few weeks. I'm almost done with my book. But I need to write the last couple of chapters, and I need to also just look at the whole book. And when you really are writing something that's such a long story, you really do have to kind of immerse yourself and be only in that story. And Jane said, come on down. And she talked to her friend Sally Fitzgerald, who I'd never met. And Sally said, I have the perfect place. I have this little place that we call the Lee House. And Cheryl is welcome to stay there. And so I found myself on one like January 4th morning getting into Jane's car in Portland, and we drove it keeps getting more hours. It's either like 6 hours or 9 or 15. Depending on the weather. It was a long drive, and we arrived in the darkness of night, and I met Sally for the first time. And we went to the plush store. Sally, Jane, and I and I sat across the table from Sally, and I just immediately saw what I'd seen in Jane. This kindness, this generosity, this openness, this, something really special. This woman had never met me, and she invited me into her house. And I will say, on my end too, it was a little bit of a leap of faith, right? It could have turned out to be anything. And what it turned out to be was the perfect place for me to finish my book. Thank you for welcoming us so warmly.